This is actually take two for today. I made a same video, but I was like moving around a lot and shuckling, and I don't know, man, it tripped me out. So I'm doing it again. All right, first off, I just want to say thanks to everybody who watched the first video. I got a lot of positive feedback, and people told me that it was a little noisy. So thank God I figured out a way today to make it a little bit less noisy. So my voice will be clearer. I'm working on getting a microphone so that we'll be able to do some more professional sounding recording. But for now, it's pretty good. Also, I'm sitting in another part of my house where there's more light. Everybody's not home, so more light is always good. And today's story is going to be from a book from Rabbi Shmuel Horowitz. This sefer is called Kisvei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel Horowitz was a Breslov Chassid who lived about 100 years ago. He is considered Ziknei Anash, the elders of Breslov. He was a very important link in the chain of keeping the Breslov Mesorah alive. He grew up in Tzfat and he became Breslov in late teenage years, like a lot of the Breslovers. And he was actually able to travel to Uman, even though it was not allowed back then. And he did spend a few years there, and he heard a lot of stories and a lot of information about Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Noson, and a lot of what's in the sefer is information that's also not as far, but also a lot of new information, and it's a very important part of Breslov history. And I didn't really know about it. I got it a year ago, and just the stories in here are just incredible. Besides the ones for Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Noson, there's a lot of stories of other Hasidim of Breslov, and there's other inyanim that are discussed further. But let's not get carried away. In the back of this book, he has stories that he heard just from other big tzaddikim, from other Rebbes, even from the Ketzos HaChoshen, from the Chassam Sofer, everybody. And he has a lot of stories that he just heard from other people in Tzfat. So today's story is a very wild story. I think the first time I heard it, I was blown away. Like I just could not picture this story. But I'm going to read it. It's here on the screen. I have the sefer in front of me, but I'm going to read it off the screen. I'm not going to read each word, but I'm going to paraphrase, and we're going to go through the story, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Breslov history at the end. So he goes like this. He says, I heard from a very important person in Tzfat who told me a story that he knew a Svardi Chacham who was also a very big guy, and his name was Chacham Shapsi, or Shaptai, how you say it in Israel, or Shapsi if you're Ashkenazi or whatever, and who lived in the Western countries, I guess Spain and Italy and places like that. And he told him, this guy, Chacham Shapsi, told this guy in Tzfat, who is now telling the story to Rabbi Shmuel Horowitz, he said this story about the inyan of the Bnei Moshe. So the inyan of the Bnei Moshe, first of all, is not something that I'm 100% clear on, of who they are, what they are, and how it happened. But from what I remember from learning in yeshiva and other places, is that these were the sons of Moshe Rabbeinu, or something like that Moshe Rabbeinu sent away. And they live somewhere in the world, we don't know, on the other side of the Sambatin River, and all that stuff that we learned in yeshiva as kids. And it's actually interesting because we just learned Akdamas on Shavuos, and officially that story of Akdamas is something to do with the Bnei Moshe, but I'm not 100% clear on it. But either way, the Bnei Moshe, I think, are bigger people. They have more powers. They know a lot of stuff. It's a whole avodah that I don't know anything about, because there's no like official svarim that's just like, what are the Bnei Moshe? So if anybody knows anything about the Bnei Moshe, put it in the comments, because that would be awesome. But anyway, this is a ma'aseh about the inyan of the Bnei Moshe, and this is what the story was. He says that this Chacham Shapsai lived in a country where there was a lot of evil non-Jewish people who were very not nice to the Jews there. He said one time there was a bunch of Jewish kids playing in front of a non-Jew's house in his garden. they were ripping up grass and they were eating it. Sorry, not grass, grapes. Now that makes more sense. I was like, why are they eating grass? I read that the first time. Asavim. It's actually anavim. It makes sense. We don't really eat grass anymore. So yeah, probably they were eating grapes. Okay, good. So, and this non-Jew came. He was very angry that they were eating his grapes, and he started hitting them. Machos achzorius. He started beating them up, mamish, right in front of Chacham Shabsai. And Chacham Shabsai also was scared to say anything to this non-Jew because he also did not want to get hit. And the kids who were being beat up, they screamed out the words Kel Shakai Ozreinu. Kel Shakai obviously is the name of Hashem, can't say it the real way, but they said Kel Shakai, help us. And when this non-Jew heard these words, he got terrified and he ran away. Like, he was terrified. And he came back a certain amount of time later, and he asked for forgiveness, and he gave them presents. And this was a whole big pella in their eyes, that this evil non-Jew who was just beating them up, he heard these words, and he was so scared of those two words, those names of Hashem, that he ran away. So the Chacham Shabsai asked him, what is going on with these, what's the story with these, why are you so scared? So he said, I'll tell you the story. He said that we were a group of people together, and we heard that there's a country that there is not any barzel there. Barzel is iron, or metal, some type of metal now. Maybe back then it was some type of metal. And when you bring barzel to there, it's like bringing gold. And it's probably a nice business idea. So we got together with a bunch of guys in a caravan, and they went to this place. It was pretty far away, and they bought food and everything. But as you know, traveling back then was a whole other world, and it was very dangerous. And they also brought with them a lot of food and a lot of iron and everything like that. But because of the dangers of traveling and everything, most of the people that were on their mission were nifter. They died. And every time someone else died, and then the food went away, and they didn't have anything left, they were mamish starving, and they were very weak. I gotta turn the page. I took 2 screenshots today. And until a ish echad gibor aruch. So that is a Bnei Moshe. That is like I said, that we know that they're big and tall. This big guy came, and he said to them in Hebrew, are you Jews? And when he saw that they were not Jews, he gave them food, and they became more alive. And we asked him that because they were so lost and they just wanted to go back home, they asked this Bnei Moshe guy, they said, give us someone to show us the way home. So now this part of the story is very interesting. It also boggles my mind why this Bnei Moshe guy gave them a little girl to show them the way on the wagon. It says, V'nasan lanu yalda achas shetoyer lanu haderech. He says, and he gave us a little girl. And as you can imagine, in the middle of the way, they wanted to do bad things to her. I'm not going to elaborate on that. I'm sure you can figure it out on your own. And shtufe zima is the only words I'll say. And she saw this little girl, saw what was going to happen to her. V'hi dilga v'kaftzah k'tzas. And she hopped and jumped a little bit, probably off the wagon or away from them. And she pulled out a sword from under her dress, and she screamed out the names Kel Shakai. What a trip, man. Imagine this little girl surrounded by these Arelim jumping off of a wagon and showing a sword and screaming out names of Hashem, and Machnas Roiv Pachad Naflu HaRoiv Mehem Umesu. And basically all of them died except for this guy. Unbelievable. It's something out of like a crazy movie, but this is the Bnei Moshe. These are real things. And now he said that whenever I hear these words, I just get like I don't want to die. So that's why he was so scared and he ran away. So that's a very interesting story that Rav Shmuel Horowitz told over. Then I just want to talk a little bit. I know I just jump from topic to topic, but that's just how you do it. Nobody needs to hear me ramble so much about a million stories. Just it's a story, and that's what we do. But now I want to talk about a little bit of Breslov history. So as people who know a little bit about Breslov, I think first of all, maybe next week we'll make a video about Uman Rosh Hashanah, why it's important. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit also as well, or what's going to be this year with the coronavirus and Uman. Sorry, I don't know what's going to be. It's not looking too great. But anyway, we know that there was a lot of big machlokes on Breslov. Even today, there's still machlokes on Breslov. I could tell you a lot of things that people say to me, but I'm sure that you know, if you're a Breslov, or if you know what people say about it, and all these things. But back then, when Rabbi Noson and Rabbi Menachem were alive, there was extreme machlokes in them at the point where people wanted to actually kill them. They would actually try to kill Breslovers. They wouldn't eat their shechita. They wouldn't marry their women. It's all written down in Svarim. And one of the people, so in Rabbi Nachman's time, there was the Shpola Zayda, who was against Rabbi Nachman very much, and the story of why that machlokes happened. And in Rav Noson's time, there was the Rebbe of Savraner, which was another Hasidus. And it's what's it called? I knew that there was that he did not like Rav Noson a lot, but I didn't know what one of the powder kegs, I guess, that increased the machlokes so much that they wanted to kill Rav Noson, was because it says again, I didn't take a screenshot of this, so it's not on the screen, but I'll read it, I'll paraphrase, I'll read it from the Sefer. Basically, the Rebbe of Savran wanted to marry Adol. Adol was the daughter of Rabbi Nachman, right? Rabbi Nachman's grandmother's name was Adol, that's the Baal Shem Tov's daughter, and Rabbi Nachman's wife's name was Fega, and Fega's daughter was Adol. And Adol, I guess, I'm pretty sure, was married to a man named Rav Yoske. When Rav Yoske died, she was a widow, and the Rebbe of Savran wanted to marry her. And Rav Noson knew that the reason why the Rebbe of Savran wanted to marry Adol was because he wanted to take the place of Rabbi Nachman. And Rav Noson's whole mission in life was to keep the inyan of Rabbi Nachman alive. And he knew that if the Savraner Rebbe took Adol as a wife, he would for sure try to take over the Breslov Hasidus and say now it's Breslov Savran or whatever. At the end of the day, he would destroy the inyan of Rabbi Nachman, and it would not be a good thing. So Rav Noson did not allow the shidduch to go through. And since Rav Noson did not allow the shidduch to go through, the Savraner Rebbe was very angry. And one time, it says that Adol was talking to the Savraner, and she said to him, I heard that you don't like my father. Like, you argue about him. And the Savraner said, no, not on your father, only on Rav Noson. Because Rav Noson says that your father is just as big as Moshe Rabbeinu. And Adol said, Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the Torah, and my father, Rabbi Nachman, is showing us how to fulfill the Torah. Listen, it's in Yonim about what Rabbi Nachman said, different things that he said about himself that are a little confusing for some people. So this might be a little confusing. But that's what she said, and that's really the truth, is that Rabbi Nachman is helping people to follow and to serve Hashem. And that's the whole reason why people are into Breslov Hasidus these days, is because it's one of the clearest paths that Rabbi Nachman set out for a person to just do this, and a lot of chizik and a lot of other things. We're not going to talk about that. It's not a Breslov channel. But these are the stories for today. And again, thank you everybody for watching. I hope everybody's safe. Virus, riots, the whole world is going a little crazy. I feel very blessed to be in Eretz Yisrael, where it's quiet and school has begun again, and all these different types of things. But I hope everyone will be able to come back to Eretz Yisrael soon to at least visit. I'm not saying to make aliyah. Not one of those guys like the world's burning. Okay, make aliyah. It's not such a simple thing just to jump on a plane. But I hope that we'll be able to see people. It's getting pretty lonely here in Tzfat. Usually it's filled with tons of tourists, and I hope everyone is safe from the virus and the riots and everything like that. And everybody should have an awesome, amazing day.